And childcare is provided for kids up to pre-K, while those in kindergarten through 5th grade will attend the Kids Hope Rally. For more info, visit myhopeconference.com or call Hickson First Baptist Church at 423-877-2467.
Nuga Radio.
Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours of Sean Hannity from 3 to 6.
Nuga Radio.
Then call us in the morning between 9 and 11.
92.7
Nuga Radio.
Oh, it's your girl Marie Mama's Marie Show. That's right. I got a double dose of me this week. Y'all gonna miss me next week. We're getting ready to go into our Labor Day weekend, and y'all know what it is. It's Know Your Rights Fridays. And I spent the first part of the show talking about the 8th Amendment, giving some context into the cash bail system, how that tied into the 8th Amendment, how that's backed up by the 6th Amendment, the 14th Amendment. Folks, I can only continue to really talk about your rights, talk about solidarity, have us not only identify privileges extended to certain people as opposed to others in this system that we call America, as well as encourage you, the listener, to make sure that you do your due diligence. You do your own work, because none of this works. Let's be real. A lot of us look at the problems that we have in society, and I believe that there are people out there who genuinely want the world to change. Well, the first thing you got to change is you. Mic drop. The first thing you have to change is yourself. You can't go out into this world demanding a change if you yourself will not change. We have to understand how we're socialized in this system that we call America, that it socializes people who are white with privilege above others, that we are socialized in the form of gender, that males, in particular white males, are double privileged among all others. And that even men, the rest of men, because unfortunately, because other ethnicities and other people are castigated and castrated. And then you look at the men, you know, I look at a lot of men and I wonder why sometimes for people of color, why they abuse their children or they abuse their wives. Well, they go through a society where they're basically castrated every day. They're not treated like men. They're not treated like people. And that's one of the things that I'm all about. And I didn't get a chance to say it because we had some technical difficulties before I ended the first part of the segment. And I apologize. Y'all know my moniker. If no one has taken the time today to tell you that they love you, I love you. And it is absolutely nothing that you can do about it. And I know for you, the listener, I know that some of you out there say, how can this woman say that she loves me when she talks about race? Well, I didn't create it, but we got to talk about it. How does this woman love me and she's never met me? Well, I love you because you are a human being and you are my brother or my sister. You're in this republic with me. You're a citizen with me. I got to love you. Not because there's somebody with a gun to my head making me do it. But I understand if we want to tear down the walls in society, we can't do it without first coming together in love. In this society, we have to come together in love. And then the foundation of, love is the foundation. And when I say love, I mean agape love, not eros love, not philia, not storge love. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then I need you to look up the types of love. Philia, that's how you have Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, the love amongst brothers. I don't just have a love for you because you're my brother. I have an unconditional love. It's tough. It's tough to get there. That's a godly love. An unconditional love, meaning I love you even when you don't understand, Even when some of y'all fight me on Facebook, y'all come for me, I still love you. Now, it ain't going to change the tune of the song and how I clap my hands on 1 or on 2 and 4 and not 1 and 3. And a musician out there caught that. I clap my hands on 2 and 4 and not 1 and 3. You clap your hands on 1 and 3 because you offbeat, but I'm not gonna. It's okay. I'm just gonna continue to show you how to clap in time. You know, and for people who don't understand, I sing and I grew up in church, played drums, played saxophone, timpani, all sorts of drum accessories, xylophone, and so. One of the beautiful things that I loved about being in Southern church is the opportunities that we would have sometimes to go to churches of people who are not of color. I love going to white churches and seeing how white people worship and just seeing, you know, how it's different and how they preach. It would always be interesting. But the funny thing is, like, when they play songs or when we would sing, like as an African-American choir, if we would sing, how they would clap on 1 and 3, which is off the beat. And it would just tickle me to death. But that's kind of what it is sometimes. People are clapping, but it's just off beat. And I'm going to get you in tune, in time with the song, and we're all going to clap in unison. Okay? That's the purposes of the Marie Mott Show. And right now we're going to be talking about restorative justice. What does that mean? What does that look like? And how does restorative justice tie into what we continue to talk about when we look at the Constitution? And even when we talk about living and existing and breathing in this republic, this free society, as God really intended, you know, one of the things that we have to understand is that the whole reason for keeping the Constitution pretty simple and not having thousands and thousands and thousands of laws and people in every part of history trying to look at the Constitution with a magnifying glass, trying to see, well, what does it mean? How can this be interpreted by me? Leave it alone. It says what it says. I said what I said. It says what it says. And it guarantees that we are not only able to be free, but it ensures, because it not only ensures us a freedom across the board, but it also ensures that our systems of government in all forms does not fall into anarchy and tyranny. The problem is that if we don't know what we don't know, how do we even begin to really solve the problems? Talk to me.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I just wanted to comment.
Mm-hmm.
I always try to catch up show on Fridays. And can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. I always catch your show. But it was just something like, I'm not a Chattanoogan, but I've been here like 7, 8 years. I'm from Oakland, California.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed, like, when you say using your constitutional rights, and I'm just gonna be honest with you, Mary. When you can stop by these Southern police, and I do know my rights. I know what they cannot do and what they can do. Mm-hmm. And the best thing I do is, the first thing I let them do is I let them do their job so I can go to mine. You know what I mean? And you got some that want to just take it there, but you let them take it there, because even if I cite to them, hey, my Constitution says this, you're not supposed to do this. It don't mean nothing when that man with that gun and that badge looking at you and tell you to get out your car. You know what I mean? And that's my point I just want to state. And we definitely need to start knowing our rights when it comes to this, because sometimes they probably don't know it either. But if they see that you do know something, they back up a little bit, but then you got some that just want to take it there. And that's all I want to say. I want to have time with you. Thank you, okay?
You're welcome. Now, one of the things that I'm going to say in response to that, and I really appreciate you for calling with your comment, is that the only way, understand that nothing changes overnight. And part of the problem is that few people, we've left up the responsibility of people to know the Constitution to the few, those who only feel interested. Well, the reality is everybody should be interested in what frees them. Now, I understand that there are some people out there who like chains. They love being a slave. I quoted it yesterday. Harriet Tubman said, I freed 1,000 slaves, but I would have freed 1,000 more if they only admitted, if they only knew, if they could only recognize that they were slaves. And then you have Timothy who says in the word of God, I would that all men come to the knowledge of the truth. I would hope. The reality is that everybody's not going to come to the knowledge of the truth, as well as everybody is not going to recognize that how we are subjugated in this society and socialized to be subjugated, not that we don't have any freedoms, but we're subjugated to not be free. We're socialized to not be free, or to not even know how to be free, because being free is one thing, but knowing how to be free is something totally different, right? And the freedom is a responsibility. Let me just state that right quick. Freedom is a responsibility. It's easy for you to say, in the land of the free. Yeah, and the home. Yeah, it's easy for you to say in the land of the free, right? That's an easy statement. But tell me how you're free, and I'll show you your future. Explain to me what makes you free, and I'll show you the future of your community. The problem is that we have left this job up to a few people. And until every time a police officer pulls over a person and they whip out a Miranda right card, and I'm going to have to make them cards. Yeah, that's something I really feel led to do. I'm going to do that pretty soon. I'm going to have to print up some Miranda cards, and I'm going to stand downtown or somewhere where it's a lot of traffic. I'm going to need to get like a Nougat Radio 92 shirt or something made so I can stand downtown or somewhere and hand out Miranda right cards to people and give them hugs. I'm a hugger. I love giving hugs. That's what I do. And I am a national champion of hugs. No one has defeated me in my title of hugging and giving love. Until police officers, but it's not just police. Now, I know I talk about police because unfortunately, they continue to do a whole lot of stupidity that makes it to the news here in the city of Chattanooga. But it's not just them. It's not just them. When you look at people within our judiciary system who will put lawyers on people's cases who have no experience, that's not effective counsel. That is a guarantee to you in your constitutional right. But if you don't know that, and then when we talk about, again, locking people up because they do not have bail, and they cannot even begin to formulate. They can't get access to the evidence against them. They don't have the ability to, if they can't afford a lawyer, to mount a defense. We're stopping their due process. But if you don't know that, the only way we begin to really shift this system on its head is when we get in unison. Just like if you've ever listened to a choir and it sounds all beautiful, and then you hear that one person who's shrieking and they're off key, it just ruins the whole experience. Same thing. We all got to be in unison. The problem is it's one person here, one person there, or the majority of people who talk about the Constitution only talk about it on Facebook, and then they get pulled over and they too afraid. They're too scared to say anything. Let's be real. I know you don't want to be late for work, but hopefully if you're on time on a regular basis, you got some PTO. And so you can text. I don't know everybody's situation. So I'm not going to try to come down on people like a ton of bricks. But if you're on time on the regular, because I believe you're on time when you're early and you're late when you're on time. If you're on time to work on a regular basis, you should have some PTO, and we have to be dedicated. The problem is this is where we really have the problem. A lot of us, the cops don't have patience. The government doesn't have any. Will drag things out intentionally to wear down your patience. So you'll just get everything resolved and just leave. Nobody can change the system that way. We've got to be willing to go through some discomfort. How do we expect it? And this is a question. And if you want to answer it, call me at 800-8949. But how do we really believe that we're going to change anything in this society if we do not get uncomfortable. We want to overcome race, but we don't want to talk about it because we don't want to get uncomfortable. We want the judiciary system to come under the Constitution, but we don't want to talk about it when we go to court, or when these judges or these lawyers want to run for a judge spot. Huh? This don't really get brought up in the conversation. We want all of these things to change, but first we don't want to be the change we want to see. But then secondly, we expect to do it from the comfort of where we are. You can't change things that way, baby. Even Christ had to die too. He had to die too. He had to go on the cross too. There's no easy way out of this situation, folks. And that's the problem. We want to fix our problems with another quick fix, and it don't work like that. It don't work like that. You're listening to somebody who's lost 100 pounds in my lifetime. I've lost 100 pounds, and I didn't do it with surgery. I didn't do it with no quick fix. I worked out 6 days a week, and I need to get back on my stuff. But I'm going through some things because I lost my grandmother in 2016. My other grandma been gone since 2011, and I'm still working through it. And food, I can acknowledge, food is my comfort. My emotional comfort is in ice cream. I can admit that. I'm beyond lying about things. I can admit that. Okay? I've lost 100 pounds in my life. I had to work out 6 days a week. And even the interesting thing is when you make progress, eventually you're still going to hit a wall somewhere. So even when things are going good, don't celebrate too much because you're going to meet some resistance sooner or later. And so after I had lost probably about 60 something pounds, I hit a plateau. And that happens when you've made major significant changes in your life. Eventually something is going to snag you. Something's going to go wrong, or you're just not going to get anywhere at all. And that's probably the worst thing, to not be pushed back, but to not have any movement whatsoever. Anything happen whatsoever. You're just stuck. And I was probably stuck at 60 something pounds lost for like 2 to 3 weeks. And it was frustrating because I was still working out 6 days a week. I had totally cut out bread. I had cut out sugar. And for me, that's heavy because I love me bread. I love me some bread. I love potatoes. I love sweet stuff. This is stuff I grew up eating with my grandmothers. Okay. And then I figured it out. I needed to add some carbs back in there. So I started carb cycling because I had completely cut them out and I was working out so hard. I needed some carbs. So I actually had to up my caloric intake, and lo and behold, the rest of it fell off. But even still, I had to make some changes. There's no way around this thing here. Restorative justice. What does that look like? That looks like us really, for real. The problem is, if we want to change, we have less crime than we have at any point in history. Anyway, we have hopefully kind of moved to being somewhat of a civil society in some instances. But the problem is that we're looking to change people by locking them up, and that hasn't done anything but created more criminals. We look at children who enter into juvenile court. The overwhelming amount of them are going to then we have ensured by locking them up in prison that they're going to learn stuff from other people that they never should have ever been in any contact with. And they're going to go on to be career or adult criminals. We're effectively creating criminals more than we are ever even restoring them. The people, the way for us to build a relationship with people is, first of all, to love them. And when people do wrong, it's one of the reasons why if I hurt or offended my brother or my sister, my mama wouldn't just put me on punishment. The first thing she would make me do is apologize. And depending on how severe it was, you know, she may go another step with it. Hug them. Tell them that you love them. You're going to take their chores on top of the chores you already have. You're going to take their chores for a week or two as a means of, depending on the severity of what I did, of paying that person back. That's the way. Because what we're doing isn't working, folks. Now, when it comes to like the hardcore criminals, like people who rape children and people who murder people and chop up their body and do things ridiculous and disgusting things like that, you know, some may say it's too much. I think we just need to do away with those people altogether. We don't need to, especially if we got the death penalty, we don't need to keep them locked up. And that may be hardcore for some people, but I don't need to spend my tax dollars for somebody who dismembered 30-something people for them to wait. No, we need to just go ahead and do away with them. They have nothing to offer society. But the reality is that most of the people that are locked up for misdemeanor. Nothing that injures anybody or severely hurts anybody. That is restorative justice, folks. So we're going to continue to talk about this on the second part of the segment. I want you guys to stay tuned to what's going on here in the city of Chattanooga and the Marie Mott Show.
Chattanooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
The Kentucky driver sentenced to more than 5 decades in prison for a crash that killed 6 is seeking a new trial. The Chattanooga Times Free Press reports 42-year-old Benjamin Brewer's attorneys are seeking a new trial, with defense attorneys arguing the state of Tennessee concealed crucial evidence. Brewer's attorneys want information on a chemical the TBI added to his blood sample, asserting they'd never heard of the contamination until witness testimonies. And we've all experienced the traffic congestion associated with the Hamilton Mall area. The city is seeking proposals from engineering firms for services related to modifying Hamilton Place Boulevard near the mall to accommodate the state's I-75 interchange work. Spokeswoman Stacy Keating with CBL Properties says if the project receives construction funding, as is now tentatively scheduled, it could be complete sometime in 2025 or 2026. Val St. John for Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News Now.
Let's face it, Old Faithful isn't as faithful as it used to be. Constant repairs are a hassle and can rack up quick in money and time. Landers McClarty Ford can fix that. Right now, you can get a 2016 Ford Focus, 34,000 miles, only $11,491. A 2017 Chevy Spark with only 17,000 miles for less than $12,000. A 2015 Volkswagen Jetta with less than 21,000 miles for $11,991. Yeah, browse their entire inventory of new and new-to-you cars, trucks, and SUVs online at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com. Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne. If you can't find your next perfect ride, they'll go find it for you. Big city selection, small town prices, friendly service, and top dollar for your trade. The savings are waiting and only a short drive away, so what are you waiting for? Get started with your personalized shopping today at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com.
Nooga Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Hello? Who am I speaking with? Eric, you're our winner. Really?
You'll receive tickets for all 3 races between the Camping World Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the Monster Energy Cup races.
Holy cow.
In addition, you'll receive a 2-night stay at the Microtel Hotel and restaurant accommodations at 2 area restaurants.
Nooga Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Nooga Radio.
92.7.
Your NASCAR racing station. Nooga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Join Nooga Radio and the Gridiron Gang live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks at 10 North on the North Shore. We're talking all things high school football. There's a specialty brew or refresher weekly inspired by the game of the week. Sweet treats, extended hours all season long, and we're pet friendly. Portions of all proceeds support local schools and educational scholarships as well as after-school programs. It's football time in Tennessee. Join us every Thursday live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks, 10 North, your North Shore neighborhood living room.
Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga Roofing Contractors come in. They have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chatroofing.com. for Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, a roofing company you can trust.
Now, Rick wants you to buy on U.S. Gold American coins. Are you tired of making 1% on your investments with the banks, even 2 or 3% at best? Now, Rick wants you to buy on U.S. Gold American coins.
Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, Brainerd Road.
Man, you sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I worked with my dad on his truck all the time. Just one more bolt to go.
Yeah, wrong bolt. Today's truck ain't your daddy's truck. For repairs on today's vehicles, you need Amco Transmission and Total Car Care of Chattanooga on Lee Highway. Stay on the road, not in the garage. Amco Transmission on Lee Highway. Get it done the right way. The Thompson Pet way. Yeah, I just put that in.
Join We've Got You Covered with Scott Schrader every Saturday from 10 to 11 on Nooga Radio. From finance to fixtures, we discuss everything you need to know about buying or owning a home, the pitfalls, the perks, and everything in between. Saturday mornings, 10 to 11, right here on Nooga Radio.
Nooga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
Areas of patchy dense fog will start out your Friday. Very warm and humid for the afternoon. Highs upper 80s with a few isolated showers and storms. Tonight, 80 showers and storms diminishing, lows near 70. For the holiday weekend, only isolated afternoon showers and storms heating up, highs of around 90 by Labor Day. Looking to buy or sell a home? Real Living Southern Realty provides real answers and customized marketing solutions. Serving the entire tri-state area, check rosouthernrealty.com for more. And I'm Sourcine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Oh, we're talking about it right now. Restorative justice. Why we have to look differently. Why we have to make some changes. Why we have to be willing to go through some discomfort. We're going to have some tough conversations and some information I just received. Because I've continued to talk about it. And I'll be a monkey's uncle. Y'all may realize, the listener, y'all may realize a little too late that I may be 5'2", I may be African American, and I'm pretty. I know y'all. But this work that I'm doing, some people have stated that it's prophetic. And of course I would, because I don't want to be labeled a prophet. I've seen through the word of God what we like to do to prophets. And I've even seen in American society, like people like Dr. Martin Luther King, what we like to do to people who do prophetic work. We don't really have a respect for people who do prophetic work in this nation. The people who are willing to make the tough calls and the tough statements. Unfortunately, those are the people we assassinate and string up. You look at the people who even tried writing the Constitution. Mike Steele, if you're listening, you can call in and talk about it and let the people know. Even some of the people who wrote the Constitution, they ended up being broke. Consistently fought at every step on trying to do something that would benefit the greater good. I tell people all the time, doing this type of work is not free. It's not free. It's a lot of people who hate on me, who've sent stuff, made threats. Now they never have the courage to say it in person. And then for some of them, they're so hilarious. They'll send a message to the Nooga Radio 92.7 Facebook page inbox. Guess what? I see those too. So you can't tell on me. Okay. My programmer gives me free range to talk about just about everything, with the exception of one in particular subject, which I'm not even going to talk about ever on my show anyways. But you can't tell on me. My programmer is in agreement with what I do, because what I do and what I talk about is about our society and the things that we need to look at and why we need to come together, despite the differences that we're socialized to focus on, and find the common ground. First of all, that we're human beings. Second of all, that we're human beings in this republic together. Third of all, that when the Constitution was written, it was written with me and you and everybody else in mind. Okay? And that we have been guaranteed rights by God and by the Constitution, which should never be infringed upon. And the reason why is because of instances of what I just found out right now. That two other women have come forward stating that they were raped by Officer Desmond. Lord, have mercy. This is why I say we got to talk about this, folks. We got to talk. People keep saying, well, I don't want to talk about the police department. Tell Marie to stop talking about the police department. None of y'all are my boss. I have one boss. And if he wants me to stop talking about the police department, he'll call me and he'll tell me. But the reality is what I'm talking about. I don't have anything to talk about if there's nothing going on. If they were doing right by the people, I wouldn't have anything to talk about. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Talk to me.
I'm just curious, what topic can't you talk about?
Abortion. We're not going to talk about abortion. Now,
talk about abortion.
Some people, well, I'm not a supporter of abortion. You know, and that's okay. There's some people who would disagree with me. I'm not. I serve in Concerned Citizens for Justice, and I know people in Concerned Citizens for Justice who are for abortion. I'm not for abortion. I'm not.
Yeah, you just had that. I think we got it wrong, and maybe miscommunications. Even we can do that. I just won't put anybody on the air that promotes killing unborn babies.
So we can talk about it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Let me put it into context. I'm sorry. We can't talk about it.
It's my fault. I refuse to hire anybody that promotes killing unborn babies. To me, that would be an atrocity. But to have the discussion, absolutely. So now there's nothing you can't talk about.
So if you are listening, you've heard that. There's nothing that I can't talk about. I have free range on the show.
You can't talk about, and that never happens at any radio station. Let me tell you, when I started doing talk radio about 45 years ago, the first people to hate on you were your family and friends. So I told my family and friends, do not listen to me. And then everyone wants to tell you how to think. And the biggest thing is you need to be gentler and kinder, and people will understand you. And you know what? That doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
You know, did you ever hear about the greatest horse trainer in the world? I mean, this guy there's no one that was better than this horse trainer. Did you hear the story about this guy?
Mm-mm.
Oh, yeah. The farmer said, listen, I tried everything. I talked to him. I brushed his hair. I cuddled with him. I tried everything to get this horse to pay attention. He won't do it. And the greatest horse trainer in the world said, you got a 2x4? He goes, what do you need that for? He says, give me that 2x4. And he gets to the 2x4 and he sneaks up on that horse and wham, hits him on the side of the head. He goes, now, why'd you do that? He says, before you educate him, you got to get their attention. Bring out that 2x4. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Love you.
It's all love, folks. Yeah, I hit you over the head with some tough stuff. Guess what? It's not going to stop me. The day that I stop talking about these issues is the day that they close the casket. And I hope that that's a long time away. I'm 30 years old. I hope I got a good 60 some years in me. Maybe 70 some years in me. I'm going all the way. But folks, this is why we have to have these tough conversations. And it's crazy. This is like the second time I've made statements this week that have later been confirmed by more information I just stated in the first part of the segment. When we talk about the police department, the thing that we should be concerned about is the stuff that we don't know. The stuff that we don't know that has yet to come out. And look at the Chattanooga Times. Lord have mercy. 2 additional women have come forward. So now we're up to 4 or 5 different women. And one of the reasons why we should have, as the people, we should have just turned this city up on its head. First of all, because we got to go back. Because our beloved police chief was quoted in the Times. You got to be more careful. Was quoted in the Times that nobody, I repeat, nobody had come forward stating that they had been raped by this person. And the Chattanooga Times, that was with the first initial story broke. The Chattanooga Times followed up on the story and found through open records request that was a lie. Now, the even funnier thing about this, when I talk about knowing your rights and the reason why the Constitution was written was not just so you could be free to move about in this republic, but also to bind your government in all forms without exception, that they should be bound by the Constitution as Jesus Christ. It's like the government is a fire-breathing dragon, and the only thing that is going to bind them is the Constitution. That's the only thing that's going to bind them is the Constitution. That is real, folks. That's not when Mike Steele calls in and talks about that. He's not joking. The reason that they continue to do what they do, they know the Constitution. Now, we might not know it, but you better believe they know it. The problem is number one, they try to interpret the Constitution towards their benefit by saying, well, maybe this is what the founding fathers meant, instead of this is what the founding fathers wrote. There's a difference. There's a difference. This is why I say we're not going to be able to get around this without any discomfort. Y'all gonna wake up to tomorrow and be like, that Marie Mott, Lord have mercy, she's something else. But that girl's telling the truth, and she's setting it on fire. I'm telling you, I'm just setting the stage for some things to happen, and that's what my work is that either we're going to complain about this, and for me, I don't like whiners and complainers. I don't. They irritate me and frustrate me. I believe that there's a solution to every problem and an answer to every question. The question is, do you want to do the work to get to it? Do you want to do the work to get to it? Everybody want a shortcut. And I'm going to tell a personal story. Like in school, I'm exceptional at English, exceptional at social studies, history, exceptional. A's. Then you get to math, and I'm seeing my way through. And my mom would ask me all the time, because my mother is a chemist, loves math. You know, I'd come home and she wouldn't be pleased because she knows that I'm intelligent. And so I tell her, well, they always are showing me in math, which you can't do this. And this is just a little caveat about education, by the way. Especially when we're talking about math, which shows up in higher levels of science as well. There's no shortcuts in math. Math is a foundational subject, meaning that each subject builds upon what you learned in the last, such as what happens a lot in life. Everything is foundational, or at least it should be. And if you don't start with a solid foundation, then that's like building a house on sand. Is eventually it looks good. It looks pretty till a wind comes through and knocks it all down. The problem was that I struggled with math wasn't because I couldn't do math or I couldn't understand it. Number one, we focused way too much on testing. But number two, math teachers wanted to show me shortcuts, and shortcuts for absolutely everything, instead of showing me the long way of doing math so I could see the steps. And there's levels to this. Meek Mills made a song called It's Levels. It's levels to this, folks. It's levels to this. It's levels to government. It's levels to life. It's levels to this. And the reason that we have the Constitution is it binds government at every level. Nobody is above the Constitution, not even the Supreme Court. The interesting thing about this is that we have I'm always talking about our city mayor and our city council. It just, Lord, I know they do a little good here and there, but overall, they're trash. I know somebody just didn't like what I just said, but that's real. Doing a little good here and there does not make you a good representative. because your job is to every day you go to work to represent the people, not when it's convenient, not when it's only for your district, not when it's something that you personally agree with, but to represent what the people need every chance that you show up to work, every chance you get, every meeting you're in, even when it's unpopular, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it means that you're singled out, even if it means your white counterparts are going to look at you crazy, even if that means people are not going to work with you anymore, even if that means some people are not going to support you when you decide to run again for re-election. What you need to be concerned about is less with what the people who are bound by the Constitution think about you and more what the people who you represent think about you. And then the crazy thing is, especially for my African American representatives, a lot of y'all are neighboring in poor, impoverished districts, heavily gentrified, heavily policed districts. And it's bigger than just even your district. You guys are one body. And the reality is that even though you represent just a small portion of what happens within the city that's divided, you are also responsible for voting and understanding what happens to people in another area. And shucks, you need to know what's happening in the city as a whole. That's a lot of work. Like I said, there's no way around discomfort. That even goes for leadership. You want to sign up to be a politician? Let me tell you, you're signing up to do a lot of work. A lot of work. It's more than just being handed a tool of power. You have a responsibility, first of all, to open up books and read them. You have a responsibility to understand financing and fiscal responsibility in the form of taxes. You have a responsibility to not only know what's going on in your neighborhood where you live and what you represent, but understanding what is impacting and hurting other people as well within the city. That's a lot of work. I know I'm hitting it hard. That's okay. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. And the reality is we don't pay these folks enough to even live off of if they wanted to make being a city council person. Now, the city mayor gets paid quite well. That's why I don't understand why Bert is acting so trash. Nobody can find him. Nobody knows where he is. He's not making any statements because the last thing he wants to do is ruin, even though, sleeping with people ruins those chances as well. But he doesn't want to ruin any more chances of maybe possibly, hopefully, going on and being somebody else in a larger arena of politics. So the last thing he wants to do, I'm telling you, because I know people. That's how I can sometimes call this stuff, because I understand how people work. I'm telling you, this is why you hearing zero. That's why when you walk up to your council persons, they say things like no comment, or you need to ask the police chief, because they don't want to go on record saying anything that's going to come back and bite them in the butt later on. Because if they said, well, the police chief said that there was nobody that came forward, then they go on record being a liar too. Huh? I got an even bigger question. Where is the city council at calling the police chief that they picked with the mayor a liar? He got caught in a lie. Hello, is this thing on? Where are you? Where are you? He got caught in a lie. The leadership that you picked. How is what's happening within the Chattanooga Police Department not on the agenda at all for a Tuesday night meeting? Because nobody wants to make any statements, folks. It's getting real sticky out here. Real sticky. And what the even bigger part, because this is just ridiculousness on so many levels. To show you how dirty it is in the city of Chattanooga, especially in our judiciary system, they had to go all the way to Nashville to hire representation, which is the same thing that had to happen to Angela Moore. In order for him to to try to get some form of proper representation, effective counsel, he had to go all the way to Nashville. We had to go all the way to Nashville to get him a lawyer. Same thing going on here. And you tell me you want me to stop talking about the police. You know what I need you to do? I need you to sit down and shut your mouth. Shut your mouth, because you have nothing good to offer. Nothing good. This is ridiculous. And this man, just after all of this, we done made the banana split and put the flavors in and put whipped cream. The cherry on top of all of this is the police officer is still on duty. Let me say that again. Because if you go back, read, I encourage people to read. Go back and read. Go back and read. An officer within the department who asked him to remain anonymous came forward and corroborated that this has been going on for a long time. A long time. A long time. This man still is working. Glenn Scruggs, you like Assistant Police Chief Glenn Scruggs. He likes commenting on my videos. I'd love to see your comments on this matter, sir. I hope I do. This is what's going on, folks, right here in the city of Chattanooga, where young women and women in general can get pulled over by police officers. Not only can they get dragged out of their cars, but they can also get pulled over thinking that maybe they got a taillight out or they were speeding and be forced to do sexual favors for police officers, which is rape. Which is rape. Are being raped in the city of Chattanooga. You want me to shut up? It ain't gonna happen. I'm gonna continue to talk about it. It's Marie Mott with the Marie Mott Show, hitting it hard absolutely every day. You know what? I love you guys. If no one has told you today that they love you, I love you. It's nothing that you can do about it. I'm going to continue to put the punches in there because I care about what's going on in the city of Chattanooga. And sincerely, I want a change to come about, but it can't change without you first being the change you want to see.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
A Kentucky driver sentenced to more than 5 decades in prison for a crash that